In a world where power and treachery go hand in hand, one man's destiny is rewritten by fate. Zhou Yifan, the formidable demon emperor, stumbles upon an ancient and coveted tome, the Nine Serenities Secret Records. Coveted by many, the ancient book brings betrayal and death. His trusted student turns against him, leading to his demise. But death is not the end. His soul is reborn in the body of Zhou Fan, a humble family servant. With the regrets and burdens of his new identity, Zhou Fan is bound to serve his mistress. Yet, his indomitable spirit remains. How will he navigate this second chance at life? Can he transform a descending family into the pinnacle of the continent? Join us on this epic journey. Subscribe to Manhwa Voice and immerse yourself in the tale of rebirth, power, and redemption. Then let's begin. On the highest platform on Devil Peak stood a black-garbed man with rapt attention. High above the clouds, the sun and moon hung side by side, flooding the land below in their warm glow and sharp coldness. The man took deep breaths as he spread his arms toward the sky, and the lights gathered in his palms. And the world dimmed. A foul wind stirred, wreathing with endless howls of agony from untold ghosts. The wind picked up the man's elegant hair, revealing a demonic face behind. The sun and the moon dimmed while the man grew in power from the rays. Soon, even dark energy began to rise from him. With his face battered by the freezing winds, the dark energy grew thicker until it covered him whole. He released a breath and an evil smile adorned his face. Rumble. With a loud sound as the trigger, the 4 mountains in vicinity erupted while Devil Peak itself was racked by terrible tremors. The man absorbing the essences of the sun and moon opened his eyes. With a space-rending sound, 7 flashes of light appeared. As the light scattered, there stood 7 figures radiating ruthless power. His eyebrows shook but a fraction as the man spoke in an eerie voice. How are the 7 of you here? Didn't you all despise us demonic cultivators to no end? Humph, demonic emperor, Zhou Yifan, isn't it obvious why we're here? An old man stroked his white beard as he gave a look of disdain. His heart skipped a beat and Zhou Yifan sounded out, Geezer Sword Emperor, I do not know what you mean. Humph, stop faking it and take out the 9 Serenities Secret Records. A female Taoist stepped arrogantly as she threw her chin forward. Zhou Yifan paled. It had been only a month since he found the legendary 9 Serenities Emperor's dwelling. After brushing death countless times in the process, he finally obtained the written accounts he wished to study for all his life. How was it that they caught wind of this? He suddenly recalled something and his face grew darker by the second. Zhao Chen, come out, shouted Zhou Yifan. A cheery voice rang through the empty forest on the mountain. Immediately, a handsome youngster in white robes walked from behind the 7, smiling, all the while as he made a curt bow to Zhou Yifan. Ha ha ha, master, did you ask for me? Zhou Yifan glared with hatred at the hypocrite and said, is this your doing? Yes. Nodded Zhao Chen with a smile. Did you also cancel the guarding array? Yes. Why? I never slight you in the least. Zhou Yifan clenched his fist as murderous intent flared out from his eyes. Despite being a demonic cultivator, he normally did not kill without reason. If he did, he was just acting out on his nature. Else, those righteous cultivators would have come to end him much sooner. Zhao Chen, for that matter, was an orphan that Zhou Yifan took him when he saw his talent. Yet, who'd have thought the day would come when Zhao Chen would betray him? Despite putting a front with his calm demeanor, before Zhou Yifan's increasing killing intent, Zhao Chen's feet betrayed him as he took 2 steps back, moving closer to the 7 beings behind him. Master, I understand your kindness is as heavy as a mountain. But that doesn't give you the right to steal the 8 Emperor seed and cast me in your shadow for all eternity. Even more so, regarding the 9 Serenities Secret Records. Ever since you've obtained it, you've trained alone, even afraid of me catching a glimpse of it. Zhou Yifan's heart clenched when he heard this. Zhao Chen would never know he did it for his sake. Having low cultivation and going head first into studying the 9 Serenities Secret Records would deviate one's cultivation. He had opted to understand it in its entirety and only then impart it to him. Yet all his plans were ruined in just a short month. Ha ha ha, well said. Zhao Chen, you're a true disciple. Zhou Yifan's roaring laughter reached the heavens and so did his rage. Since it is so, Master will give you a taste of the 9 Serenities Secret Records. Zhou Yifan, it is not your place for such unbridled words in the presence of us 7. The white-bearded old man stepped before Zhao Chen. Humph, everyone in the sacred domain knows me as the 8 Emperor. I could care less if all 7 of you Emperors come at me together. No sooner said than done, Zhou Yifan launched a palm at Zhao Chen. A black claw flashed in the sky reaching out for him. His eyes shrunk, face paled, and retreated with haste, fear having taken its grip on the youth. In the face of that powerful claw, the old man drew a sword. A sword wave flashed and the black claw was turned to nothing. Humph, 9 Serenity's secret records is nothing great. The old man stood in the wind with his sword ready, disdain all over his face. Zhou Yifan smiled and waved his palms. Geezer, stop being so arrogant. Boom. As if endless thunders were rumbling, the sky was covered by thousands of black palms, bearing down on the 7. Each palm was twice as big as the claw. Such power reached a new height that even the 7 were in shock. How can this be? Did he break through to the sacred stage? Sword Emperor sucked in a cold breath at the sight. As they watched, they could feel bravery leaving them. Not even 7 emperors together were a match against a sacred stage expert. Zhao Chen's face grew paler as regret gnawing his heart. Who'd have thought just a month of practice would elevate Zhou Yifan to such height and power? Humph, damn traitor, this is the end for you, sneered Zhou Yifan. Whoosh! A light fell from the heavens above, piercing the black hands and went straight for Zhou Yifan. With no time to react, the light passed right through him. Scarlet blood spurted from his mouth and the thousands of black hands vanished. Zhou Yifan looked with his wan face at the sky to see a middle-aged man basked in a holy aura of light. Saint! Zhou Yifan bit his lips in defiance. He knew in his heart the newcomer's intention. Demonic Emperor Zhou Yifan, this saint represents the sacred domain in retrieving the demon emperor's legacy. If you hand it over, your life shall be spared. The surroundings and people entered his eyes, yet none of them were reflected within. He wouldn't even deign to look at Zhou Yifan, if not for having the 9 Serenity's secret records. This was the strongest saint in the sacred domain. Even emperor stage experts were mere ants before him. With a miserable chuckle, Zhou Yifan took out a dazzling multicolored jade slip from his bosom. The mere sight of it changed the expressions of everyone present, especially the saints. With a look of derision to all around him, Zhou Yifan jeered, "What righteous cultivators, what saint? Aren't you all just thieves lusting a poor man's wealth? I won't let any of you get one word from the 9 Serenity's secret records even if I have to destroy it." As if to prove his conviction, a powerful energy rose up from his body. Damn! He's gonna self-destruct. Sword Emperor's eyes shrank, speeding further away, with the other not far behind. Only the saint exploded in holy wrath and charged for Zhou Yifan. Stop! With a proud smile, Zhou Yifan pinched and the jade slip was turned to dust right under the saint's eyes. The rage and bitterness he saw in the saint as he gnashed his teeth elicited an unrestrained laughter from Zhou Yifan. Boom! His laughter was soon accompanied by powerful shock waves leveling the entire Devil Peak. As the smoke and dust cleared, it was soon clear to see the angry face of the saint, along with his worse-for-wear clothes. Even in the face of such a terrifying explosion, a saint can come out of it without so much as a scratch. The Sword Emperor came before the saint to express his admiration. The saint snorted and was about to leave. It was then Zhao Chen blocked him. "Please wait, saint. Demonic Emperor Zhou is cunning and deceitful. If he possesses someone, just from knowing the 9 Serenity's secret records, he will one day come to exact vengeance upon us all." Humph, his self-destruction was down to his soul. What possession? He waved his sleeve and vanished. The hearts of everyone present eased after hearing this. With a saint present, an emperor stage expert would find it impossible to escape with their soul even if they self-destructed. It was a pity for the loss of the ancient demon emperor's legacy, 9 Serenity's secret records. In the dead of night, even the moon's radiance was snuffed out by the black clouds. Bodies lay in a pile in a quiet part of the forest, the aftermath of a gruesome battle. The air reeked of blood, drawing all kinds of wild animals to feast on the flesh. Ugh! Among the countless chomping sounds of animals, from amongst the bodies, a young man let out a groan. Ears twitched, and the animals approached the source in silence. Thump! With a loud sound, 2 corpses were thrown to the side to reveal a bloodstained figure wrestling out from the pile. The animals jumped 2 steps back in fright, but when they noticed he was alive, they came back with a vengeance to rob life from him. Yet, the youth hardly noticed the imminent danger, still sat there in a daze. Is this the current me? He checked his hands as his eyes glazed over. Awoo! A wolf's howl echoed as the beast sprung towards the youth. He turned his head, his eyes shining with bloodthirst from his blood-stained face. The killing intent was akin to 2 swords stabbing into the wolf's eyes. Whoosh! The wolf grounded to a halt, shivering as it curled backwards. The rest of the animals were also making a run for it when they watched those demonic pair of eyes. Despite his weak appearance, the animal's instinct screamed at them of the danger the youth posed. As silence set in once again, the youth took a deep breath and closed his eyes. His name was Joe Fan, 15 years of age, a servant of the Luo clan at Cloud Manor. His life was happy and carefree, until 3 days ago when a band of Blackwind Mountain bandits butchered the manor. He, along with some guards, escorted the young master and young miss as they fled, only to find his end in this forest at the hand of their pursuers. In his final breaths, he was filled with an obsession. It was this that drew the drifting demonic emperor Zhou Yifan's resentment and allowed the demonic emperor to possess him. Zhou Fan's eyes flashed with demonic glee. Ha ha ha, Sword Emperor, Zhao Chen, you would have never imagined the 9 Serenities secret records has a way of possessing someone without the need of a soul. Wait for me, I will soon return to Sacred Domain and behead you myself. Only Zhou Fan's mad laughter echoed in the bleak forest. Even the other animals chewing on corpses were startled into fleeing. Cough! A sudden cough cut his raving laughter short as his eyes turned like a hawk towards the source. He helped me. Zhou Fan rushed to it to see a Luo clan guard buried in bodies, with blood pouring from his mouth. Humph, the affairs of mortals have nothing to do with me. His eyes shrank and shook his head as he was about to leave. The previous Zhou Fan would have done his best in helping the man. But he was now replaced by the demonic emperor Zhou Yifan. To Yifan, the Luo clan were nothing but ants to him. Who was so bored as to save an ant's life? He took only 2 steps before stopping. Recalling something, he dropped down cross-legged to inspect his body. Not a moment passed, and Zhou Fan flashed his eyes open with glee. This kid is 15 yet has never cultivated. His body is untainted. On the Martial Emperor continent, most could cultivate. Even farmers would have a first or second layer in the foundation establishment stage. It was rarer to find a 15-year-old who never cultivated once. And the strongest cultivation method is the 9 Serenities secret records, demon transformation art, which could use others' cultivation and later allow one to swallow the heavens and devour the earth. Reaching the highest realm of power in this world, needed a pure body to train in it. This cultivation method was something the 9 Serenities Emperor comprehended only after he entered the Emperor stage. Just when he was contemplating destroying his cultivation and starting anew, he suffered at the hands of the other Emperor stage experts. In ancient times, the 9 Serenities Emperor was among the top 3 strongest emperors. For it to make even him consider restarting his cultivation, this cultivation method must be of tremendous might. Maybe it surpassed even a heaven-ranked cultivation method. As such, once Zhou Yifan obtained it, he began to consider his next course of action. But before he could decide, the 7 emperors and Zhao Chen came and forced him on this path. With a pure body, the effect would be even more pronounced. At this point, Zhou Fan returned to the guard. He removed the corpses covering him and pulled him out of the rest. Empty eyes watched as he got pulled from the brink of death. The guard smiled. Ah, it's you, Zhou Fan. Thank you, I'll repay you when we get back. He, why wait when you can just as well do it now? With a corner of his mouth perked up, Zhou Fan exposed an odd smile. The guard froze as a chill seized his heart. As they were both from the Luo clan, this wasn't the first time he saw Zhou Fan. But this was his first time watching such a sinister expression. It was akin to how a wolf would set its sights on a rabbit. Zhou Fan. What are you going to do? The guard watched him vigilant. Zhou Fan ignored him as he watched with the same smile, mumbling all the while, not bad, a second layer of chi condensation cultivation. Solid foundation material. While other cultivation methods absorb the spiritual energy around them to refine the host body, the demon transformation art robbed others of their cultivation to further his own. But how could a normal man steal from a cultivator? When the target was wounded, of course, to the point he couldn't even move. This was the reason for Zhou Yifan's uncertainty to abolish his cultivation at the time. If such an encounter never happened, he would have been immortal for the rest of his life. It would end in a complete loss, something he believed caused even the 9 Serenities Emperor to hesitate at that time. Only yet, here he was, with a newly possessed body that the heavens dropped on his lap. Truly something only found by luck. Seeing the insidious Zhou Fan watching him like a rogue watched a beauty, the guard's heart never knew rest as he shouted, "Why, you're not Zhou Fan." He, correct. The evil laughter further emphasized Zhou Fan's malevolent look. I am the Sacred Domain's 8th Emperor, Demonic Emperor Zhou Yifan. If you are interested in more parts, let us know in the comments. Like and subscribe to Manhwa Voice and click the bell icon so you don't miss any updates.